Hi. Previously, we created a React element and then rendered that within the HTML. Now we're going to expand upon this concept to create an entire React component. To create this component, we're going to add back in a file to the source directory, app.js. So create source/app.js. Since we're writing React code, a prerequisite is that we import the React library from the React module. So import React with a capital R from the lowercase React module. But now since we're creating a component, we're going to import a second variable from the React module, the component class. Now, the component class is not the default export of the React module. Therefore, in order to grab the component class, we specify it as an optional import with a comma and a pair of curly braces after the main React import. So have the component class with a capital C after the React library import. Cool. Now we can create the React component. A React component is defined by declaring a JavaScript class with the class keyword. We're going to call this class app, since by convention, a React component has the same name as its file. And then we'll open up a class body with a pair of curly braces. Immediately, we're going to say that this class extends the component class from React with the extends keyword. By extending the component class, we're making this app class a subclass of the React component. The effect is that this app class, as a React component now, will have a bunch of methods and properties that were originally declared in the React component class. So the first method that we want to take advantage of is the render method. So add a render method to the app component. In the render method, we define the structure of the component itself. The structure of a component, like an element, is defined through JSX. Except a component doesn't have to be just one element. It can consist of many elements nested together. So that's the distinction between an element and a component. An element is that smallest block, so one div, one paragraph element, or one header. But the component can be many of these elements together in order to structure an entire piece of UI. For this app component, let's return an overall div. Now, it's very important to have this return keyword with the parentheses. It's a common mistake to be missing the return statement in the render method and then get confused why the React app isn't showing anything. So make sure to have that return keyword again. Now, since it's a React component, we can nest even more JSX within this main div. Let's start with a header 1 title for the actual application, and let's have this header 1 title say hello. We're going to add a paragraph tag, and for me, I'll say my name is David. Substitute your name. I'll put I'm a software engineer, but you can add any description that you like. And for good measure, I'm going to add a second paragraph tag, and this one will provide further information. And I'll say I'm always looking forward to working on meaningful projects. Okay, cool. That completes the overall component. Finally, for this file, we'll want to make sure that other files can now use this new component. So at the end of the file, let's add an export default line that shares this component with other files in the codebase. By declaring this app component as the default export of the file, other files will be able to import the app just like we imported React without the curly braces from the React module. So let's do exactly that. Once you have the entire app component changes, head back to the main index.js file of the source directory. And within here, we're going to import the app component from its local location at /app. Okay. And now, instead of rendering this React element that we have in the React DOM.render, we can render the entire app component. To use a component, we use its class name directly as a pair of JSX tags. So let's remove this element over here. And instead, we're going to have a pair of tags that come from using the main actual application class. All right, nice. Go ahead and save that file. You're going to want to make sure your application is still running in the background. So head to the command line and fire npm run start in the actual portfolio application if you haven't already. Then visit the app in the browser once more at localhost 3000. And you should find that you now have the new elements and the new component within your actual project. If you open up the element section, the div with the ID of root is going to have all that new code for our JSX within the render method of the app. Sweet. Now, before we move on, There's one thing we can improve with how we coded this. Back in the application, notice on the render line, the app component doesn't have any children, meaning there isn't any inner JSX within the app tags. In this situation, we can use a cleaner syntax. We can use a self and closing tag to shorten down our code. So instead of a pair of tags, we have a slash and then the greater than sign directly within one tag. Cool? If you save this and then refresh the app in the browser, you should find that the element appears just as it did before. All right, awesome. Creating a component is a pretty big step because components are actually one of the key innovations of React. So components, again, are like Lego bricks. To bring up that analogy once more, they're reusable pieces of the user interface in your application. By piecing together these components, eventually you end up with an entire Lego house, which is the React application itself. All right, before we move on from components, let's explore how this all works a little more deeply. To do so, we're going to need more insight into JavaScript classes in the first place. So as our next step, let's do a quick review and ramp up on JS classes, and then explore how these React components actually work under the hood. If you enjoy this content, head to davidtkatz.com. There, you'll find links to full courses, as well as to reach out and connect with me. For React and Redux in particular, you'll want to check out udemy.com/React Redux Bootcamp. This is a course I made to help you learn React and Redux the right way, and to turn you into React and Redux developer. Okay, see you in the next one.